something of yours, well, that would be about 2 out of 5. But of course, you probably know whether you applied to Capital One in the last 14 years, and if you did, I'll bet the chances just went up to about 1 out of 1, because she seemed to have gotten them all.
So, I mean, there's more than just Capital One, right? You look at the Target hack from a number of years ago, Equifax, of course, which has just been back in the news. Marriott had its thing. You've got the Office of Personnel Management, the federal government. There's like a Venn diagram here that overlays a lot of people with all of these hacks.
That's right. I mean, if you add them all up, it's close to about 1 billion. But, of course, there's lots of repeats in there. The question is, what pieces did they get from each of these?
Right.
And I would bet that just about everybody in America has some piece of their information in the hands of somebody. The question is when you get the combination of things. Equifax, that was the one that really scared me. And because they got Social Security numbers and some credit card information and other things that somebody could actually use.
Yeah.
And that's what these people are doing, is putting together profiles and getting all these pieces of information. And that's when it gets really scary, is for the people for which they have essentially a whole profile.
You said Equifax was the one that really scared you. You were hit by the Equifax hack, right?
I was, and I spent a day sitting down there and closing my accounts with the various credit card agencies, and then I changed a lot of my passwords that day.
I have to ask you this. We have caught you at the Joint Statistical Meeting in Colorado. It is, I gather, a convention of all the statisticians in the greater United States and abroad?
Mostly in the U.S. and North America. We've got about 6,500 of my closest friends right under one roof here in Denver.
I imagine there's lots of academic conversations, but do you all talk about this kind of thing? Like, what are the odds that I got hacked?
we do. We talk about the odds of all sorts of things, because we're that kind of people. So we're constantly thinking about how all this stuff affects us and what the chances are and the odds of almost anything you can imagine, Kai.
I believe it. I believe it. Richard DeVoe, he's the chair of the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at Williams College up in Williamstown, Massachusetts. Also, by the way, the vice president of the American Statistical Association. Professor DeVoe, thanks for your time, sir. I appreciate it.
It's been great. Thank you, Kai.
Can you imagine those conversations, right? On Wall Street this day before Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve do what they are going to do, whole lot of nothing at the corner of Wall Street and Broad. We'll have the details when we do the numbers. Tomorrow about this time, the lead story on this program is going to be the Federal Reserve's decision to cut interest rates because, come on, they're gonna. We know that because Chair Jay Powell has all but told us they're going to do that, and therein that we know what the Fed's going to do before they actually do it lies our story today. Because it wasn't all that long ago that the idea of the Fed being so radically transparent was heresy. That was the gist of where I started with Powell when we had him on the program last summer. Why are you doing this interview?
You know, part of it just is that I feel that we have an obligation to explain ourselves. I think we're shifting our focus a little bit to address sort of the American people more generally and try to explain what we do, why we're doing it, and how we carry out the important jobs that Congress has given us.
I ran that by Peter Conti Brown. He's a Fed historian at Wharton. So if I say Federal Reserve communications policy to you, what do you think?
I think of a tortured history. I think of the Wizard of Oz. I think of the Fed trying to be the wizard to the citizens of Emerald City, but now trying to say, but we should invite the visitors from Kansas behind the curtain.
Exhibit A in that Fed as the Wizard of Oz analogy, one Alan Greenspan.
Clearly sustained low inflation implies less.
Obviously hard to follow, which, says Peter Conti Brown, was the whole point.
He loved keeping people on their heels, unsure of what the Fed would do next, because that preserved quite a lot of policy space for him and the other central bankers at the FOMC to dominate.
That was all well and good until the economic bottom fell out in 2008, and slowly but surely, the Bernanke Fed realized it had to open up a little bit. He did interviews, he went on 60 Minutes for crying out loud, and then, after the Fed's meeting in April of 2011, he started holding press conferences.
Good afternoon. Welcome. In my opening remarks, I'd like to briefly first review today's policy decision, I'll then turn next to the Federal Open Market Committee's quarterly economic projections, also being released today.
Bernanke started them, Yellen continued them quarterly, by the way. Now Powell does them 8 times a year, speaking as plainly as a Fed chair can, I guess.
We have an economy where the expansion is continuing, growth is at a healthy level, the labor market is strong, we see job creation, we see wages moving up, inflation is low, which gives us the ability to be patient. I see us on a good path for this year.
The question, though, is who's he talking to, and are they listening? There's a farmer's market every Friday not far from Marketplace World headquarters here in LA, so over we went last week to find Maria Blakely selling microgreens with her husband Jeremiah. Microgreens, I learned, by the way, being tiny, barely sprouted arugula and kale and the like. Is it like a space thing? You don't need as much space for the microgreens? I'm asking stupid questions, but I truly don't know.
Well, that's actually a great selling point right there, because you do
You don't want
save...
an overstuffed wrap, right?
Well, you don't want to overstuff your wrap, but you don't want to overstuff your refrigerator either,
Exactly.
so it saves a lot of space.
So if I ask you, Maria, about the Federal Reserve and interest rates, what do you say?
I mean, obviously that's interesting. I think if it's going down, it's good for business. If not, it's going to affect small businesses like ours a little bit.
Jim Barkley's a couple of stalls down. He sells cheese crisps. Now, if I said to you that Jay Powell said the other day he's going to do everything he can to keep this expansion going, what do you think?
I don't have a good response. Like, okay, good for him. I don't know what that actually means. I don't know if that means he's going to keep interest rates down or raise interest rates. I don't know.
Do you think you need to know?
Not at this level of business. I don't think it affects me much.
Why do you think that?
I'm an individual business owner. I'm unlikely to go out and get a big loan. I think it affects people who have lots of money that they're getting loans on, or maybe even people that are buying houses. I'm not buying a house, I'm a renter.
Peter County Brown, one more time.
I think it's wrong to assume that absolutely everyone needs a seat at the table to discuss the
Wrong in this economy. The problem is there just aren't enough of them to go around. I've been around for 4 years.
Coming up.
You know, we have the aquatic dinosaur here.
Know what I'd expect from a trip to the IRS. But first, let's do the numbers. The Dow Industrial's down 23 points today, nearly a tenth of 1%, 27,198. The Nasdaq up 19 points, about a 0.25%, 8273. The S&P 500 down 7 points, a 0.25% there, 3,013. Some losers out there today. Athletic apparel maker Under Armour, which cut its revenue forecast for North America. The stock gave up 12%. You heard at the top of the program about Capital One. Shares down nearly 6% today. Shares of the alternative meat maker or meat alternative maker, take your pick, Beyond Meat, continue to slide, losing 12% after the company announced plans to issue another round of stock. Since it went public in May, though, Beyond Meat stock up more than 7-fold. You're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by Charles Schwab, who believes a modern approach to wealth management starts with asking questions and providing straightforward answers. Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow. Learn more at schwab.com. And by C3.ai, the software suite for digital transformation using artificial intelligence and IoT to solve previously unsolvable business problems. Learn more at C3.ai. WBEZ is supported by T-Mobile for Business, helping keep businesses connected from corner coffee shops to cafes halfway around the world, with data and texting included in over 200 countries and destinations. More at T-Mobile.com/business. WBEZ is supported by Indeed. There's more job posting information at Indeed.com/hire. Get fully prepped for your dinner conversation. The rundown from WBEZ is one-click daily email that gives you the news fast. Every afternoon at 4. Sign up now at WBEZ.org/rundown.
Hey there, this is Stephen Dubner from Freakonomics Radio. We'll be teaming up with WBEZ for a podcast passport event right here in Chicago on Thursday, September 26th at the Harris Theater. For tickets, go to WBEZ.org/events. See you then.
You're listening to your public radio station. This is 91.5 FM, WBEZ, Chicago.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Rizdal. The White House is out with another try at increasing transparency in healthcare prices. New rules that would force hospitals to share with customers, patients is another way to say that, what they're charging insurance companies for their services. The idea being that if a patient knows how much, say, a hip replacement is going to cost at all the hospitals nearby, they can shop around for the best price. But as Marketplace's Kimberly Adams reminds us, shopping for healthcare does not quite work that way.
This is the latest move by the Trump administration, attempting to make it easier for people to compare prices. An earlier rule requiring price disclosures in prescription drug ads is now on hold in the courts.
All of these rules around transparency rely on the idea that patients can solve all of the problems with pricing in our healthcare system.
Caitlin Donovan is with the National Patient Advocate Foundation, which helps people navigate the healthcare system.
Patients don't shop for healthcare the way that we would shop for, say, even a car or another big purchase.
Because they're relying more on what their doctor recommends, who's in their insurance network, even transportation. Zach Cooper teaches public health and economics at Yale. He and his colleagues found less than 1% of patients shopped around for, say, an MRI.
We see, for example, that an individual drives past 6 lower-priced locations for an MRI scan on the way to receive a more expensive product.
Because often, when people need health care, they're sick and stressed and short on time. Janet Schwartz researches behavioral economics in healthcare at Duke University.
I don't think it's going to hurt to have consumers be more aware of what hospitals charge insurance companies, but the system is not set up so that this information can be helpful to them.
The new proposed rules will have to go through a series of comment periods before they're put in effect. In Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams for